You gotta teach me how to do that, man. Oh, well anyways, what's up guys? It's me, Kade, and today we have finally come to one of my favorite platforming series, Mega Man. For this video, I'm going to be covering the first 3 NES games, mainly just because gameplay-wise they're all pretty similar. So who's ready to shoot some lemons and beat some clankers? Ha! I got extra lives, bitch! Mega Man, the Blue Bomber, Jump and Shoot Man, Rock. He goes by many names. A character created by Akira Kitamura and Keiji Inafune in 1987 as a new IP for relatively young third-party developer Capcom. To anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s, you couldn't think Capcom without thinking about Mega Man. He was their bread and butter for years, until the younger siblings came along and then they became the favorites and stole the spotlight. Nowadays, the Blue Boy hasn't really been in as much as he used to be. The last Mega Man game as of this video was Mega Man 11 all the way back in 2017. I mean, he was in Smash and an episode of that gaming streaming show. An unfortunate reality of that being simply, despite being in Capcom's top 5 best-selling game series, Mega Man simply doesn't make enough money to justify more games. While there are plenty of fans willing to fight for the Blue Beamer, Mega Man's future is, as of now, uncertain. Now I know there's a ton of different iterations of the character, but I'm only focusing on the classic series version for now. But let's go back to a simpler time, before the others came along, back in the days of gaming magazines, hairspray, and synthesized music. Capcom in the mid-80s was looking for a new IP to make some delectable money off of. Game designer Akira Kitamura had come up with a character inspired by Astro Boy, and with artist Keiji Inafune creating the artwork for the character, they looked at their creation and gave it a beautiful name. Oh, look at our baby. Isn't he beautiful?
Indeed, dear. But what do we call him?
I was thinking we'd call him Mighty Kid.
Oh wait, you're serious?
No way.
Well, how about Knuckle Kid?
No way! Who bought a game named Knuckle Kid?
Okay, well what would you call him? How about Rainbow Battle Kid? At least I contributed.
This is harder than I thought. It feels like there's rocks in my head.
That's it! Rockman!
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Well, the deadline's tomorrow, so Rockman it is.
The decision to name him Rockman was inspired by the name of the music genre, rock and roll, which is also how his sister also got her name as well. I just realized I got this far in without talking about the backstory. In the year 200X, scientists Dr. Thomas Light and Albert Wiley are classmates studying robotics at the Robotic Institute of Technology. Light specialized in artificial intelligence and wished for coexistence between robots and humans, while Wiley specialized in efficiency and power, but Light gained a lot of popularity and Wiley eventually grew to resent him. After first making 2 housekeeping robots named Rock and Roll, which were successful, Light then created 6 more robots designed to help out with certain tasks. This made him a celebrity.
What the hell was that?
And he eventually won the Nobel Peace Prize. That was the last straw for Wiley, and he took his revenge by kidnapping his robots and reprogramming them to do his bidding in an attempt to try to take over the world. Rock, having a strong sense of justice, asked Light if he could fight against Wiley, and while Dr. Light says Rock wasn't initially built for fighting, after some enhancements, Rock was converted into the fighting robot that we know today as Rockman, I mean Mega Man, which is a result of Capcom of America thinking that name sounded lame and changed it to Mega Man to try to make it more marketable. Wish I could say the same for that box art.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Alright, drop your popcorn. I know that was really long, but wash your buttery hands because we got a game to play. Pressing start takes you to a stage selection screen, a recently new concept at the time where you get to pick which stages to tackle in any order you please. The stages will test your jumping and shooting abilities, but since you only got 2 buttons, you'll get used to that in no time, I should say. The stages aren't very long, they're only about 2 to 5 minutes depending on your skill, but they will test your reflexes and precision with enemies and hand-eye coordination with the platforming obstacles like death pits, death spikes, death by knockback, death by mistimed jumps, and death by getting hit too many times and depleting that health bar faster than a gambling addict's bank account. You have 3 lives, but infinite continues will be more than enough to help you keep going, along with the health capsules either dropped by foes or just out in the open. Once you make it to the end of the stage, you must face the boss at the end, and after beating them, you receive their weapon. Oh yeah, that's the main shtick of Mega Man, is that you can use the other boss's weapons against them in a rock, paper, scissors style approach. Some weapons do more damage to certain bosses and foes, and it's all about experimentation to see which one works for you. Replayability is this game series' specialty. What kind of weapons do we have to use? Well, for starters, there's your standard lemon shooter / pea shooter / whatever comes out of that hand cannon shooter. It gets the job done, but you can only have 3 on the screen at the time, and you can only shoot directly in front of you. There's Bomb Man's weapon, which is, well, bombs, that pack a punch but are really slow to blow up. They're Gutsman's weakness, and Gutsman's weapon allows you to pick up rubble and rocks to chuck at foes. That's the weakness to Cutman, and his weapon throws scissors that act like a boomerang. They're the weakness of Electman, who shoots 3-way electronic beams that have great coverage and are very strong. You use those against Iceman, whose weapon freezes foes in place, but defeats Fireman without any problems. His weapon surrounds you with fire and lets you shoot one as well. And let's give a hand to the MVP, the Magnet Beam, located in Electman's stage after using Gutsman's weapon to move the stuff out of the way. This item is great. It makes platforms that you can walk over most obstacles with, especially the disappearing blocks, which a lot of people hate. I don't mind them that much, but yeah, I'll be honest, I'd rather get around them than get on them, if you know what I mean. After beating the initial 6 stages, you gain access to Dr. Wily's Fortress, which contains an additional 4 stages that test your skills, and it adds another limitation. Your weapon energy does not refill between the stages, so be cautious with your spending, and be sure to pick up those weapon refills. They're also in the other stages, by the way. The boss of Wily Stage 1 is the Yellow Devil, the hardest boss in the game. He's fast, and you normally have to wait through a cycle in order to hit him again, but by using the pause glitch, which makes a projectile hit an enemy every time it's on the same frame as one, he'll go down in no time. The boss of Wily Stage 2 is the Copy Robot, who copies your moves. He's also a pain as well, so I just use the glitch again so I can be done with him. The boss of Wily Stage 3 is called CWU-01P? Weird name. Pro tip, wait until you've done a decent bit of damage before throwing these rocks at him. It's a one-way ticket to dying if you don't. Wily Stage 4 is the last stage, and it has this item called the Hisaishi, which refills all your ammo. One thing I should mention though is that throughout the Wily stages you refight the Robot Masters again, but with all the weapons you have, it's pretty easy.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
And then you finally face against Dr. Wily and his goofy looking machine. And after all that, you finish the fight victorious, with Wily begging for forgiveness and crying like a whiny bitch.
What, are you gonna cry now? Come on, cry, baby, cry for me. Come on, cry!
The game concludes with Rock walking back home and jumping in the air in a freeze frame. It wouldn't be a product from the 1980s without one. Mega Man 1, while simple, is effective in its goal. It's got some issues like the knockback, the fast falling speed, slightly stiff controls, some annoying enemies, and irritating obstacles, but through it all, it's a good game that, while a little short, is pretty sweet, and it has a unique approach to challenge with the stage selection and the design for the weapons. Despite Mega Man having decent reception at the time, Capcom didn't see a reason to release a sequel, but the team really felt like they had something going. So after some pressuring for Capcom, they eventually conceded and said, okay look, we'll let you work on this, but while you're doing it, you'll have to work on Mega Man 2 in your free time while working on projects for us simultaneously. A monumentous task to get through, but luckily they stuck to their guns, and out through this ginormous amount of labor came... After a year of work, the team released Mega Man 2 in 1988. The story follows Mega Man once again taking on Dr. Wily because after his previous defeat, Wily made 8 of his own robots to try to destroy Mega Man. So with his housekeeping days behind us, we set off once again to put an end to the mad scientist trying to take over the world. Once again, we face off against robots that specialize in certain fields, but we have 8 this time instead of 6, so it's going to be a doozy. Most of the gameplay is relatively the same, so I'll just go over the new stuff that was introduced. A new item is introduced in this game which will go on to become a series staple, the E-Tank, a full health refill, and you can hold up to 4 of them. Whenever you defeat certain stages, you'll get a seizure, and then Dr. Light gives you new tools to help you with your platforming predicaments. Item 1 spawns up to 3 rising platforms that you can stand on. Item 2 spawns a jet that you can ride over certain pits or challenges, like the disappearing blocks, which are back. They're not going away! And then item 3 spawns a thing that rises against walls. The controls are mostly the same. I can't describe it, but you don't feel as stuttery as before. Your walking is more snappy, which I do think is an improvement, especially on tight platforms. Just a quick tidbit, this game has a password system, which will also go on to become a series staple, and I can only describe it as a weird NES version of Bingo.
It's bingo! Get your hands off me, woman!
Now onto the stages. The structure of the levels is still the same. You pick in any order you want, go through a series of enemies blocking your path, having to overcome an obstacle, sometimes combining both. You still have infinite continues, still using the old lemon spitter to hurt foes, and once again fighting a boss at the end of the stage, each of them having certain weaknesses to learn about and take advantage of. The bosses in 2 have become many fan favorites, whether that being their designs, their stages, or in my opinion, their banger-ass themes. Holy shit! Mega Man 1's soundtrack was pretty great, but 2's soundtrack is up there as one of the best NES soundtracks, bar none. Almost every track is a banger, and I don't want to go on for too long, but here's me using vocal percussion to the beats of some of my favorite tracks. And who could forget the good old Wily Stage 1? Sorry. So, the bosses. This is a good time to mention that starting with 2, the designers would hold contests in Japan for people to submit ideas for bosses. They would pick 8 that they liked the most, and after some slight design updates, they'd be in the game, so shout out to all the people that made these guys. The game wouldn't have done so well without you. On a more controversial note, the weapons in this game are fun, but not the most well balanced. Okay, I'll admit, Mega Man 1's roster wasn't balanced either. I mean, Elect Man's weapon and Magnet Beam made any challenge a complete joke, but 2 has a big elephant in the room that I need to talk about. The Metal Blade. You receive this after defeating Metal Man. Usually everybody picks this stage first for one reason only, besides the music. Sorry. Metal Blade is the most broken weapon in the game. It's fast, it's effective against most enemies, it has the highest ammo count next to Quick Boomerang. What's the problem? The problem with that is that it pretty much makes all the other weapons nearly obsolete or just unnecessary. Crash Bomb is too slow and it's only good for one boss, we'll get to that in a minute. Bubble Lead's pretty situational, and the weakness to another boss, once again we'll get to that in a second. Leaf Shield's good at shielding, but when you move, it flies away, which can be a little annoying. Air Shooter's also very situational, and it's hard to aim just right. Atomic Fire drains way too fast, Flash Stopper's pretty good, I'll say, and also Quick Boomerang as well, but you can't argue there's clearly an imbalance here, especially with half of the bosses being weak to the darn thing. It kinda hits the core game design in the teeth. Now, I want to make it clear, the other weapons aren't bad, they're actually pretty fun, especially since I've done more runs recently where I saved Metal Man for last. I know most people don't mind that, but it's just something I wanted to say. Look, at the end of the day, it's a fictional game, so nothing really to get upset about. Well, enough chit-chat, time to take on Dr. Wily for the second time, and I see somebody took design tips from Skeletor, cause oh no, Skull, so spooky, ah! We once again trek through 4 stages with no weapon refills in between, with challenges that put our skills to the test, which also include our sensitivity skills, cause good lord almighty, why are there so many flashes after you beat the bosses? Good god, my eyes! Well, after beating the Knockback Dragon, Wall Buddy, the TMNT NES Technodrome wannabe, and this stupid excuse for a boss, the Boo Beam, yes, that's its name, shut up. It's a bunch of turrets on walls that shoot at the same time. In order to kill it, you have to use Crash Bomber. Problem is that you only have a limited number of shots, and you have to make sure to get all of them, and you have to beat it without dying and not messing up a shot. If you use some shots and die before beating it, or run out before you could beat it, guess what? You have to get a game over before you can get your weapon ammo refilled. As if that didn't already suck enough, the boss is almost impossible to dodge normally. I have to use the menu pause trick to disable my hitbox every time they fire so I don't get hit. Call it cheap, call it lazy, call it cheating. I believe this boss doesn't deserve fair play if it's gonna slap my robo crotch plate with bullshit design choices that the rest of the game doesn't have. Well, after a refight with the Robot Masters, we face off against Wily Machine number 2, you know the drill. Well, blades I should say. Spam Metal Blade, use a E-Tank if low on health, second phase do the same thing unless you saved up a Crash Bomb from Boo Beam, and watch as I effortlessly one-shot Wily like the epic gamer I am. But wait! There's more! Wily escapes into the caves below, and as you trek through dodging blood from the ceiling, no music, just the drips of the blood, a single door, one step through, and you face the final boss. Dr. What? Wily was an alien? That's more twisty than the game of Twister on a tilt-a-whirl. His weakness is the bubble lead, and don't touch him. He will kill you in 2 hits at full health. But after beating through the fight and another seizure, you see that it was just a hologram, and Wily once again begs for forgiveness like a whiny bitch. I hope you fade into nothingness like your cousin! Mega Man then proceeds to walk home again, but the tone is more somber, more calm, more uncertain. As the seasons change, Rock stares up into the sky, thinking about his existence. He knows his job is done. Now all he can do is take off the helmet and go back to a life of peace in the countryside with his inventor/father and sister. A perfect parallel to the opening where he puts his helmet on. Mega Man 2 is a vast improvement over its predecessor, and the fact that it only took the team a year to make this, all in their spare time by the way, it is no surprise that it became the best-selling title for the series on the NES. And now Capcom was fully on the sequel train, and 2 years later they held up their deal of the bargain with... Mega Man 3 was released 2 years later, but oddly enough, it's very well known that the game was rushed. I'm not sure why, since the team had more than enough time to make it. You'd think that'd be enough. Well, after some digging, I found out that Akira Kitamura, who directed the first 2 games, left Capcom during development, so producer Inafune had to work with a different director. Adding that to the tight crunch time, it made the game unfinished by the time it was ready to come out. What aspects were rushed? I'll get to that later. But speaking of Rush, that's a good time to segue into Rush, Mega Man's new robot doggy pal who serves as a replacement for the number item platforms. He receives upgrades when you beat certain stages, so it's basically the same concept. You automatically get Rush Coil, which springs you up really high. Rush Marine allows you control much faster and better underwater, and the most broken one being Rush Jet, which allows you to fly anywhere as long as you keep your energy from running out. The story this time around tells how Wily is tired of fighting and he wants peace. So he and Light create a new robot to help keep said peace, called Gamma. But suddenly some robots are going crazy, so Rock is sent out to stop them, while at the same time a new robot occasionally drops by to fight against Mega Man named Breakman. When Rock returns, he finds that Wily stole Gamma, and uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, he was lying. So now we gotta go pay the old-timer a visit yet again. Like the other two adventures, we select 8 stages in any order, taking down obstacles in our way, defeat the boss at the end, get the weapon, yada yada yada, you know the drill. One of the biggest changes you'll see is the visuals have had a big glow up. The levels are more detailed both in the foreground and the background, having more intricate uses of color and architecture, and even including some parallax scrolling here and there. The Robot Masters are once again designed by fans who submitted art via the contests, and while they're not as iconic as the previous bunch, they still look cool in my opinion. We still have our good old lemon ejector, but now we have a new way to combat foes and tackle levels. You can slide now. Pressing down and jump at once lets you slide on the ground to get away from foes or tackle these tight corridors. It's a great addition to Rock's arsenal, and it would become synonymous with the character. So I guess now he's called Jump and Shoot and Slide and Dog Pilot Man. Put that on the box art, which for this game is looking better than 2's and especially 1's. But is this Mega Man or Botox Man? Cause buddy, you gotta get your money back. You still have infinite continues, and you can now hold more than 4 E-Tanks. You'll need them all too, because this game is definitely more difficult than 2, but we still have some weapons to help us out thankfully. The weapons this time are thankfully more balanced. Not perfect, but let's go over them real quick. Magnet Missile homes in on enemies, Surge Snake goes along the ground and goes on walls, Gemini Laser's decently powerful and it bounces off walls, but it's not very effective against non-stationary foes. Hard Knuckle is slow but packs a heavy punch, literally, and you can slightly move it up or down when it's moving. Shadow Blade is basically a nerfed metal blade. It can be shot up, in front, or diagonally upwards. It doesn't have as much ammo, but I'd say that's all fair enough in order to try to make a more balanced version of what was the most overpowered weapon in Mega Man 2. Spark Shock only freezes enemies, it doesn't hurt anybody, Needle Cannon isn't any different than your arm cannon, and Top Spin sucks ass. It's good against one-hit enemies, but to hurt others that take more than one hit, you have to get hit. It's nearly impossible to not get hit, and that just isn't great against most things. I praised the music for 2, and as far as for 3, I don't think it's as good, but here's some tracks that I do hum along to. After defeating the Robot Masters, we have to face a new challenge before we take on Wily, and it's the Doc Robot stages. There's these robots that copy the abilities from the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters, and you have to play 4 levels you've already beaten, but the level design is changed to be slightly harder, and each stage has 2 bosses. I'll be blunt here, I hate these sections. They feel unnecessary and they go on for far too long. I get the idea behind it, but it just feels too shoehorny. Whenever I replay 3, I usually use a password to skip these guys. Well, after another brief skirmish with Breakman, we head to Wily's third castle to put a stop to him. Who's your accountant? Because how can you keep affording to making these? And this guy is really old, mind you. He sure as hell ain't doing it by himself with those damn eyebrows. Well, after going through all the stages fighting different bosses that Wily made for security, which include the copy robot, a turtle spawning machine,
I like turtles.
refights with the bosses, and the... No.
No. Wait.
The Yellow Devil. I may not have a pause glitch, but I got E-Tanks and Hard Knuckle, so back to hell with you, you jackass. And eventually we fight Wily himself. We beat him, but it's revealed to be a fake. And then we take on the real Dr. Wily, who's piloting Gamma, after some punches and a one hit of... you'll never believe what his weakness is. The top spin.
What?
We're 3 for 3 with Wily begging for forgiveness like a whiny bitch. But in the middle of that, the fortress starts pulling a Castlevania on us as it starts falling apart and some debris knocks us out. But then a shadowy figure comes to save us. We wake up back at home to Dr. Light, who hears the whistle that plays whenever Breakman appears, and it's then revealed by Light, and later in the credits, that Breakman is actually Proto Man, Light's first ever robot he made, who defected and went on his own. And he's also Rock and Roll's brother. The day is saved as we look up into the sky, thinking of blues. Oh wait, this is the US version, so thinking of Proto Man. My bad. That son of a bitch survived! And that officially concludes the Mega Man NES trilogy. And I have to say, despite the fact that it's been years since Mega Man has made a comeback in video games, the fans still appreciate him to this day. His appearances in Smash Bros. And other media make it very clear that despite the fact that he is over 30 years old, Mega Man is still beloved to this day by many. And I don't know what the future holds for the Blue Bomber, but you can guarantee that us fans will be standing there with Rock, looking onto the horizon with our heads held high.